a finger on the pulse of that team and his heart beats with them. He said afterwards, I thought this was fascinating. He said on some level, the Celtics deserve to lose because they cheated the game in the way they approached the series. And I will say that a lot of people that I talked to around the city the last couple of days came away with the perspective the Celtics had no respect for the Knicks whatsoever with the way they approached the series. Did that, you guys who are experts, did you feel that watching it? Anyone?
Well, I'll defer to players on this one.
Did you feel that way?
I looked at it from a media standpoint.
I didn't feel like they played with the series. I think we have to go back, right? I just think they didn't take care the end of the game. They were up 20 in Boston 2 times.
Right.
Right? Like they approached the series the right way. I think just at the end they settled for so many threes instead of like just actually stomping them.
Well, this is how many threes did they miss in the series?
They missed 180 threes in 6 games. That's an average of 30 per game. The Knicks averaged 33 attempts per game. They relied on it. Live and die. They died with it.
I don't think they cheated the game. Yeah. I love this Boston Celtics squad. You know, obviously they dealt with adversity with Tatum, you know, being out due to injury, but I don't think they cheated the game. I do think that they need to look, and when it comes to clutch time, do we need to stick to these patterns of shooting threes, or can we adjust? That was my only issue, because the threes is what got you back-to-back to being one of the best regular season teams, putting yourselves in prime position to make it through the playoffs. The threes, I was not mad at it, but when it came to clutch time, when they were settling and sticking to that system instead of resetting, that's when I took issue. You had 2 amazing players, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, with multiple advantages, with Jalen Brunson or Josh Hart in front of them. You know, someone that they can get and shoot a mid-range over. Like, the mid-range is still a good shot. Look at Bridges. Like, he's, you know what I mean?
So that may be what we're talking about here, is that they looked at this and said, instead of doing what it would take to defeat this opponent, we're just going to do what we do and assume that what we do is so good, no one can beat us when we do it right. That is, I think, what he means. Look, I'm not putting words in Brian Scalabrini's mouth, but I feel like that's what he's saying. There was sort of an institutional arrogance about the team that said, if we do what we do, nobody can beat us.
That's the word we've been using, arrogance, with their style of play, Monica. That's what we've said.
So, okay. All right, so yes, it felt arrogant, but I also would offer, if it wasn't threes, if their bread and butter was to steal the ball and get out in transition, or their bread and butter was the mid-range and they were off, would we still be punishing it the same way? Right? And that's, I think, and that has only come to me this morning, because I think as a team that has been successful, the playoffs is not the time when you depart from what you have done to be successful. I found myself in the series actually wondering if there was another way for them to play, because they seemed unable not to take threes. But I do also acknowledge that while they didn't shoot the 3-ball well, I think you got to give the Knicks credit in terms of making them uncomfortable, particularly in the latter 2 games that they won.
And they're rebounding. They kill you with those second chances off long rebounds off their missed threes. So they missed a ton of threes, but they get a second chance, and then they bury you with that. The Knicks were able to counter that. This series was not lost when Jason Tatum got hurt. This series was lost, as Marcus said, the first 2 games of that series. They gave them away.
Exactly, and you got to stick to it. When did they adjust?
Right.
Like being up 20 and you seen that some of them shots wasn't going, like how do you get the ball to JT at the elbow? How do you get it to him at the post? Like they never adjust. And back to your point, they stuck with their game plan because it got them up 20 in both games. But you have to learn how to adjust in real time.
Well, I think part of this, let's put a pin in this. We can continue the discussion. Part of it is sort of this new debate between like analytics and what the eye shows. Like the analytics say, if we just shoot this many threes and we make this many, then we can't be beat. And other people are watching and like, you've got an advantage here.
Yes, a higher percentage shot in the paint.
But you're doing everything you can to swing it around and get a 3, and you wind up missing 30 of them a game. All right, we'll dive much more into the Celtics uncertainty as we continue, because there's a legitimate question here. Was Friday the final game for this version of this team?
Oh gosh, Greeny.
Does the dynasty disband? Well, there's a lot of reality.
Wait a minute, it wasn't a dynasty yet. Hold on.
Coming to it, or however you want to describe it. Plus, it's a sneaky huge week in the second quarter. The adjustment. Alex Caruso guarding Nikola Jokic, and Alan, it worked.
Yeah, mouse in the house? Not really. He got him off balance, and you get you get also the free safeties running in, just frustrating Nikola Jokic early in this game. What an adjustment that the Thunder made for a Game 7.
Shanae, the defense leading to offense in that second quarter.
Speaking of Caruso, look at the energy, emotion. He is a championship piece doing the little things. He was a +40, +- which is wild. But again, 37 points off of turnovers. That is their bread and butter.
Monica, how about the half that Jalen Williams, 17 points in the second quarter.
Yes, indeed. Looking to have a bounce-back game after a couple of subpar performances, but not in Game 7. This is when he rose to the challenge.
That's SGA. He had 35 points and 0 turnovers.
He gone.
Then Marcus, look at Jason Wallace, lefty flush.
That's great. They got
Throwing it down. Thunder by 25 in the fourth quarter was just a coronation. It's a 30-point game. Caruso turning defense into offense. He had 11 points and 3 assists and 3 steals, and the Thunder put it away in Game 7 in convincing fashion. They are off to play and host the conference final against Minnesota beginning tomorrow night. We'll have the games on ESPN, and this surprised me. I will admit, when I went to look for the odds, I would not have thought the Thunder, coming off this series, would be as significant and convincing a favorite as they are on ESPN Bet right now. They are odds-on favorites to win the championship, followed by the Knicks, the Timberwolves, and Pacers in that order, as you see. So I'm going to ask the question this way. Monica, I will start with you.
Okay.
We have been calling the Western Conference the OKC Invitational for what feels like forever. Did they come out of this looking battle-tested or vulnerable to you based on what we've seen from them in the first 2 series?
I'm going to go with battle-tested, and here's why, Greeny. J.B. Bickerstaff had this quote during the Knicks series. He said, you grow, as quickly as you learn. And Alex Caruso, going into this series, talked about the opportunity for this young squad to go up against defending champions and to legitimately learn. To me, as we watch these playoffs, and we can get into a larger conversation about the last 4 teams left, the teams that have the ability to grow between April 14th and June, right, they have an edge on other teams. And I think that's what you saw from this Oklahoma City Thunder team. They were tested. They were on the ropes. I thought they did a good job.
Are they the team, Marcus Morris, are they the team to beat right now? Vegas is telling us they are definitively the team to beat for the championship. Do they look that way to you?
No. 170 minus 175?
Yes.
Like that doesn't make sense to me. I like OKC, really good team, and my brother's in the back. He's probably going to argue me down about this.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you now. I don't think that was battle tested. I don't think Denver really could, the matchup for Denver was a little tough. I think OKC had enough bids to guard Jokic, and then an adjustment at a Game 7 was really big for them, right? But at the end of the day, they had an easy Grizzly walk through. I just don't. I don't see battle tested. I don't see battle tested. I say good wins.
I think it's on a scale. I think it's on a scale because you sometimes think you have to go up against the best of the best to be battle tested. But when you're the youngest team in the NBA, which they are, they're the youngest team in NBA history to win 60 games, you're learning on the fly. And I think about last year. What did Jaylen Brown say after they won a championship, or what in their pursuit of during the final series? He said it's time to graduate. Like that is the type of things that we're seeing. We've seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander be tested. What are you going to do in the fourth quarter? And then he was one of the guys, even though in losses, he was showing up, like dropping 13 points in the fourth quarter. What are you going to do with a number 2 option, Jalen Williams, J-Dub? What are you going to do? Guess what? He responded from 6 points to having 17 in the second quarter, 24 in the night. So they're learning on the fly. But most importantly, you said this before we started the show. I feel like, what is it? It's a new day. Like, this is an indication that the game has changed. Before I used to say you have to have multiple stars on a team to win. Now they're showing you a different rubric. It's depth and it's also defense.
Yeah, and I feel like you could say that were the Denver Nuggets the same team they were when they won the championship 2 years ago? No. But it still felt like a coming-of-age game for them because they got forced to a Game 7. They had a bad Game 6. You mentioned Jalen Williams, who had a bad game, and he had to show you something. That second quarter, those last 3 minutes of that half,
that was a stretch.
That's a horror film for any opposing coach right now that's getting ready. Of the other 3 teams left, if you've got to face them in an NBA Finals or if you're Minnesota, that's what you worry about, that in 3 minutes they can flip a game like that without hitting a whole bunch of threes. That was just defense,
straight up defense,
getting after it, and finishing on the break, and punishing you for your turnovers.
27 fast break points in totality in that ball game.
Crazy.
Tell me about the Alex Caruso on Nikola Jokic. That's a fascinating move. It's the kind of thing that throughout NBA history people would have scoffed at the very no. He was giving up 100 pounds and about 6 inches in that matchup.
I think it was an adjustment. You just had to throw it out there and see if it worked, right? But the thing that it actually did was slow Denver offense down. They were trying to get the ball into the Jokic every play, so no one really had a rhythm, right? So now when it didn't work and they were trying to get other guys into the rim, I think it just stalled the offense out.
I will also say, and I know that we were talking about it a little bit before the show, As much as we praise Jokic, that is a matchup that's a little bit puzzling. But Alex Caruso, Drew Holiday, there are a handful of guys that are problematic when they have to defend because they're just that versatile as defenders. So I think he deserves a little bit of credit.
Yeah, he deserves all the credit. Isn't this the same playoffs where Chris French was complaining to the referees about Rudy Gobert getting, manhandled because of the little guys? Like, as the post player, I know you played a lot of positions, but as a post player in the chat here, like, it is not fun. It is not fair when you have a guard guarding you because, one, they get away with more, and also they just are lower, center of gravity. So when you dribble, the ball is right there. We saw so many uncharacteristic, strips, but the way you win in the playoffs is by doing things that people can't expect.